Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. Guys, there is this message that I want to share with you. The message reads like this. Hello, how are you, my brother? Can you please post for me and keep me anonymous? I came across your YouTube channel and I listened to so many confessions, so I thought of contacting you, and I spoke to this lady and she told me that if I gave her my message, she is going to forward that message to you. My story goes like this. I am a graduate who struggled for many years to find a job. Straight from university, I was all fired up and I thought that I was going to be the next big thing. Sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll be watching the news and I'll fantasize the news anchor reading out my name, saying that this is the next best thing that has ever happened in this country. So many days I would wake up in the morning, then I'll go into my bathroom, then I would look into the mirror and I'll say to the person that I'll be seeing in the mirror, you are the next Elon Musk. You are going to be so wealthy. I mean, like the most wealthy person in the whole of Africa. That is how I had imagined my future. Those were the days after I had finished my studies at university. I went out, then I used some of the money that I still had left in my bank account and I printed so many CVs. I would go into town, into different offices, then I would drop off my CVs and I would make sure that each and every time that I dropped my CVs, I would tell them that if you don't hire me, you are going to regret it, because one day you are going to hear about how I started a big company straight from the ground. So if you know what is best for your reputation, you should hire a guy like me. So many human resource managers, whenever they would interview me, they would just laugh at me and say, but do you know that you don't even have any work experience? What do you mean that we are going to regret it if we don't hire you? I still remember that I told this certain human resource manager, I said to her, it is your loss and it is your company loss that you are not able to hire me, because the next time that you are going to hear from me, I am going to tell you that I have been hired either by the biggest company that is here in South Africa, or maybe by the biggest company that is in Asia or in the United States of America. In my mind, I saw myself one day migrating out of the country and flying out of South Africa. I had big dreams. I mean, like not flying out of South Africa just like a normal person. I saw myself flying out of South Africa using a private jet and arriving into that country where that company had hired me. I expected that company to treat me like royalty, and in the morning, if I were to arrive at the head offices, I expected that people will be lining up to hear my great ideas. That is the kind of mentality that I had at that time. So with that kind of mentality, whenever I was around women, especially slay queens, it was like a magnet to them. That is what I used to do when I was in varsity. I used to target mostly these slay queens. I am so addicted to them and I just can't get over them. Whenever I see one walking maybe in the mall or maybe in the club, I try by all means to target them. When I was still in varsity, I would approach one of them, or if they were in a group, I'll just target one of them. Then quickly I'll tell them everything that will be going on in my life, my dreams, my future hopes, and my plans. By the end of the night, I'll be getting free beer. Sometimes I'll be getting free sex. That is how I survived through varsity. I was a kind of a guy who never checked his bank balance. Up to today, I still have that problem. I can't even check my bank balance. But reality then kicked in when I came out of university, because I used all the money that was left in my bank account for transport when I was going around dropping my CVs and printing these CVs. Sometimes I'll be using the internet, so I would go, maybe I'll sit at Wimpy to get free Wi-Fi. Sometimes then they would kick me out because I'll not have ordered any food or anything, and they'll see that this guy has been sitting here for more than 3-4 hours. Then they would kick me out. Then I would have to hit the internet cafes. So I was just spending money until one day reality kicked in. I was in Pick and Pay. I wanted to buy something. And on that day, I was walking with this girl. I was telling her everything that I was going to achieve if I get this job. And I was telling her that, look, they've already sent me this email and they're just waiting for the formal interview, but I have already gotten this job. We were at the till. Then I tried to pay for all the things that we had in the shopping basket using the bank card, that same bank account that I never bothered to check if there was any money that was still left in it. The first time it just said declined. The next time it said decline. What I did the next time, my brother, it was something out of a movie. I kept on entering wrong pins so that I can pretend that my card has been blocked. And when she saw that my card had been blocked, I told her, look, I think this machine is wrong. I've been entering this pin and it is the right pin for this card, but your machine has blocked my bank card. What are we going to do about it? Then that girl that I was with on that day, she said, it is fine. Let me use my Capitec bank account. I am going to swipe. Then you will pay me later. So she paid for all the things that we had in the shopping basket. Then we went out of the shop. To that girl, I pretended as if I was okay, but I was telling myself that, look, boy, this thing of you flying out of this country like a VIP as if you are a president, just flush it down the drain. You need to start looking for a job. Because this girl, I knew her character. She had told me that, look, I have used so much money. Make sure that you are going to pay me. What should we do? Tomorrow, should I go with you to the bank so that you can sort out your card because I need the money? But I said, no, it is fine. I am not going to go with you to the bank and with all of your beauty for you to just sit in the queue whilst you are waiting for me to fix my card. What we are going to do, I'll go alone, then I will contact you so that I can give you your money. But I was not going to the bank because there was nothing left in that bank account. I had used all of the money that I had. The next day, I went back to the location. I asked some guys at the car wash, at least if I can get a job, maybe for 1 day or 2 days. Lucky enough, the owner of that car wash, he knew my mother. Then he said to me, young man, since you say that you have some bills that you want to pay, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you all of the money that you want right now. Tomorrow you should come to work. You are going to work for me until you have paid me all of the money that I have given you. So then that guy gave me the money. I called that girl and I told her, look, I have so many hassles. This is the money that I have got. Let's meet tomorrow in town. I'm going to give you your money. I've already fixed my bank account. Then I called that girl and I said to her, look, I had forgotten that my account is a private account, so I can have access to it 24/7. So I just called my bank and they said that they apologize for the inconvenience. So they have sorted everything. Everything is just cool. Let's meet tomorrow so that I can give you your money. Then the next day, I met that girl in town. I gave her the money. But from that day, my brother, I knew that I had to do something about my situation. This thing of me being rich, I wasn't going to be able to achieve that dream. At first, I had dreamed of this dream job, the one that I had qualified for, but the situation then forced me to look for any kind of a job. I told myself that as long as there is bread on the table, I am going to work as hard as I can. So I found a job at a mortuary after many years of struggling. I was excited when I saw that I'll be earning a very decent salary. But to most girls that I was dating at that time, I was just lying to them that this was just a family business and I was there to just manage people. I was not working, but I was the one who was doing all of the manual labor at that mortuary. The job wasn't ideal, but I had no choice. I worked for a couple of months, then I started to struggle financially. I still remember that this other day I had no money and I was at the taxi rank whilst I was waiting for the taxi to take us back to the location. Whilst I was in queue, there was this other slay queen that I used to date. I don't know what she was doing at our taxi rank, but she was just casually walking around with one of her girlfriends. I had to hide from that girl because that girl actually thought that I was a son of a wealthy man. Then I just hid myself until I got into the taxi. People just kept on looking at me, thinking that maybe I was a thief or I was running away from someone that I was owing. Then as I was working, black tax made me to realize that the money that I was getting, it was not enough. Whenever it was month end, I would quickly realize that the money that I was getting at the mortuary wasn't going to be enough to cover all of my expenses. I could not even go partying anymore. To my best friends, I kept on giving them excuses because I was that kind of a person who never had any friends in the neighborhood that I was staying. I actually had friends, most of them that were cheese boy and cheese girls. So I kept on giving them excuses that this weekend I can't go, the next weekend I can't go. At my father's business, they actually need me, so I need to put hands down on my father's business, otherwise it is going to fall apart. That is how I kept on dodging these wealthy friends that I had. So what I'll do is that I would put taxi money aside, then at home there will be food that will be needed. I had to put that money aside. When I would look at the money that would be left in my account, that money wasn't enough to do anything. My parents were unemployed and they were not yet at the age where they got the social grant. My siblings also were not working, so I had to make sure that with the little that I was earning, everyone gets covered. I couldn't even date because which woman would want to date a man who can't even afford himself? And these Lokshin girls, I never loved them from day one, even though I stayed in the same neighborhood, but there was just something about them that wasn't a turn on for me. I just love these slay queens, those kind of a woman. Those are my type. I started worrying about not getting employed in the field that I started for. I was always complaining to my mom about how I'll never be able to build her a dream house, and I could see that it was breaking her that I was struggling, and my mother felt like she was responsible for all of my misfortunes. One day, when I was about to knock off, an elderly lady walked in and asked for some water. She looked very tired, so I offered her a seat whilst I went to fetch the water for her. After drinking the water, she gave me a piece of paper with contact numbers on them and said to me, "Call this person tomorrow at so and so time and all your money problems will be gone." She gave me 100 rand and said, "Use this money to buy airtime and bread for your family." She didn't even give me a chance to say thank you or ask any questions. But honestly, I was so happy because I really needed the money. Let me tell you, there was this other day I was walking in town. Then I had no money. Actually, I had no taxi money for the next day. Then there was this other woman. She was also an elderly woman. But me, without any shame, I pretended to bend down like I wanted to tie my shoes. Then I picked up the money. But the most funny part about it is that when I was pretending that I was tying my shoelaces, the shoes that I was wearing on that day, it didn't have any shoelaces on them. I just wanted to pick up the money. What caused me to rob this old woman, it was that the situation at home, it was so bad. I knew that there was no food at home. So when that old woman gave me the money, I could not refuse it because I knew that at home there was no bread, there was nothing, and I needed food for tomorrow's skaftin. When I got home, I called the number on the paper. It said the number does not exist. I was so let down and hurt because I finally thought my problems were over and I was going to drive around the neighborhood with the most expensive car because that old woman had promised me that all your problems will be solved. Because the way that I have raised the bar in my life, driving these cheap cars, to me, it is not even an achievement. I mean, like, I have to drive the most expensive car, so sometimes I can't even sleep at all because of all the financial burdens that I am facing. That night, I dreamt of a very tall black man, insanely tall, asking me why I was shouting his name so loudly. I was shocked and I said, "I don't even know your name, dude." He said to me, "My name is," calling out the numbers that were on that paper. I asked him if the name that was written on the paper is really his name, and he said, yes, that is my name, and you have been calling out my name. Why are you calling out my name? He was so annoyed at me. I said to him, oh, sorry, sir, I got your number from some woman who said you could help me with my financial stress. At that time, I had actually devised a plan of selling my parents' house, but each and every time when I would look at my father and my mother, I would just feel sorry for them. I had actually thought of planning out a scam, putting my parents' house on Facebook Marketplace, pretend as if I was selling that place. Then I'll just scam some people so that I could get by, but I was afraid of prison. For a long time, that man spoke with me, and his appearance, that man was so tall. He was so tall that I could not even see his face. He was so tall that his upper body could reach up into the heavens. Then he said to me, maybe I could help, but there is something that I need in exchange. Can you do that for me? I said, what? What do you want? Then he said to me, I need human tongues. I froze for a minute. He said, even from the dead bodies, you have access to those dead bodies. Give me those and I'll make all of your money problems disappear. I am the God of money. The next morning, I could not stop thinking about the dream. When I got to work, I called the number again, and still it didn't exist. The most horrifying thing was that on my call, the number was cleared from last night, and I'm that kind of a person who doesn't delete all of his call logs because I have this tendency of not saving people's numbers. So what I do is that when I want to contact someone, I'll just go to my call logs and check if I have ever called you. But even that day when I called it at work, after hanging up, it was cleared. It was so strange to me. I had a terrible day at work. When I got home, I was even scared of falling asleep because of the weird dream that I had the previous night. I suddenly fell asleep and the dream came again. The man said to me, you called me. Have you decided what you want? I then apologized for calling him, and I said, sorry sir, the time that I was trying to call you, I just wanted to see if the dream that I had last night, if it was real or not. Then he just laughed, and the laugh that he gave me, it had an echo in it. Then he just disappeared without even saying a word. Next thing in my dream, I dreamt buying a car and having a huge party. Suddenly, the party changed to my wedding day. On that party, I was actually getting married to this other woman. She is there on OnlyFans. I don't even know why I had a dream whilst getting married to her. I saw my mom's face and she was so happy and she was proud of me. In the morning, when I woke up, I couldn't get over how happy my mom looked. I went to work, and whilst I was working, a very beautiful young lady walked in. She was breathtaking. She asked for directions to a lodge nearby. When she was about to leave, she said, please borrow me your phone. Then she saved her numbers as my future wife. She then said, I am new in town. Show me around sometime. She was extremely beautiful. I mean, she was like that same woman that I had seen in my dreams, that kind of a woman that I was getting married to. Then here was the connection. You could not ignore such beauty, effortless beauty. I knew that I needed the money from that tall man, and my mind was made up. I took out the paper from the bin and I dialed and I called. That night, he showed up more angrier than ever. His tone was revving with anger. I told him that I was ready. I was ready to do whatever he was going to ask me to do. I told him that even if you want right now, if you want me to sacrifice my mother, just say how I should sacrifice my mother. I am ready to do it. Because in my mind, I was actually thinking about that beautiful woman that had gave me her numbers, the way that she had saved her numbers in my phone. The whole day I kept on looking at her numbers. She had saved her numbers as my future wife, and I was so excited. As I spoke, that tall man began to laugh. He laughed so hard. He laughed so hard that he actually wanted to fall down. I could hear his voice softening up. He then said to me, bring the tongues and I'll bring you the money. Then he faced into the other direction. Then he started to walk away. He was laughing so hard as he was walking away. But I noticed one thing: as that tall man was walking away, the clouds were actually following him. I don't even know how to explain what was happening, but it was like the whole earth was following that tall man. He said, when you have the tongues, call me. Otherwise, don't ever call me again. I will cut your life if you try to call me and you don't want to give me what I have asked you. I don't need your mother's soul. There is someone who is willing to take her soul, not me. When you have those tongues, put them under your bed and I'll see what to do from there. The next morning at work, I made a plan to go to the fridges. It wasn't my department. I worked at the front desk, but I would be called to assist at the fridges every now and again. I got there and I offered to help the guy doing makeup to help because I needed a break from the desk. When I offered to help him, he was so happy. He then said that he wanted to take a smoking break. Then the minute that he left, I got inside into the cold room and I picked up a random body. As I was busy picking up a random body, I heard that there was a voice that was whispering in my ears. It was telling me everything that I was supposed to do, the way that I was supposed to take the tongue off from this body, and without people ever noticing that this dead body's tongue has been cut off. There was a way that I was supposed to do it. After I had done everything that voice was telling me to do, I just saw that the tongue was now into my hands. I quickly reached for a newspaper. Then I wrapped that tongue and I put that tongue into my pocket. Then that man got back from his smoking break and I went back to the front desk. I was very jumpy all day long. I could not wait for knock-off time. When I got home, I put the tongue under my bed as I was instructed. The next morning when I woke up, I looked under the bed. I don't know, it was like there is a voice that just told me that, look under your bed. Oh man, what I saw underneath my bed, I just can't believe what I saw. When I counted the money, it was like 100K. It was the first time for me to ever count such huge sums of money. I didn't have any money, so that was going to make a huge difference. But I was a bit uncomfortable at the fact that someone was in my room and I didn't hear a thing. I got ready for work, and before I left, I gave my mother some money to buy food just until month end. I saw a sense of relief, especially from my father. He was so happy because he was sitting and he was watching Morning Live. That is what he always do. Early in the morning when it is 6 o'clock, he goes into the living room so that he can watch the Morning Live. When I gave my mom the money, I saw that my father was so happy. There were tears that were actually falling from his face. So I definitely knew that I was going to make my parents happy, like the way that I had promised them that I was going to make them happy. When I got to work, I called my so-called future wife. I asked to take her out for a dinner. She agreed same time. She never said that she was busy or gave me any excuses. After work, we met and I could see that she was disappointed that I was not driving, but I pretended. I told her that, look, my car just had a breakdown. There was this other guy who tried to break into my car, so my car is very expensive. I just can't take it anywhere, and the kind of insurance that I have on my car, I have to make sure that they are the ones that come and take my car. So I am still waiting for them to return my car. She said, what kind of an insurance are you using? I think that if you are using insurance, if you don't have a car, they can give you a replacement car. And I said, no, man, I don't need a replacement car because I am driving a very nice car. Who else is going to give you a replacement car for a Lamborghini? Then she just laughed. She had her own car. I was a bit embarrassed that she had a car and I did not have a car. We got to the restaurant and I was shocked at her expensive taste. The only dinner that she wanted us to have, it was only costing me about 3,500 rands, and when I got on that date I had only 3,000 rands because I thought, which girl is going to blow more than 3,000 rands? And I had used the other money for transport and I had also used the other money for my lunch. Then she said to me, I don't want you to pay this. I am an independent woman. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. I'm going to pay for our first date. Then she just laughed. She took out the money and she ordered more. The money that she paid at the end of the day, it was 3,600 rands. I was so embarrassed. She dropped me off at home. I actually lied to her that I am just staying here in the location because there is a situation. There is this other relative of mine that really needs me, so I have to take care of them. A while later, I tried calling her and she didn't pick up. She was not even replying to my messages. I knew that I had messed up. I mean, who drives a Lamborghini and stays in the locations? I thought that, oh no, this woman has seen through all of my lies. The next morning, I woke up very early because I wanted to get to work before everyone else. I was 2 hours early. I got there and I did my thing. Whenever I would go into the freezers, I'll just see that there will be tanks everywhere. So I would take those tanks, then I would hide them far from no one could find them. I waited for everyone to knock off and leave. Then I would go and I would collect all the tanks. And from there will be a lot of money in my room. I was too excited to even worry about the tall man who was always watching me. I called the girl and I left her messages begging her to give me another chance, but still she wasn't replying though. I had about 700,000 rands in my room at that time. I was so happy. You know, my brother, when you have money, you are always suspicious about everyone. If anyone would come at our house, I would look at them in that kind of a way that, is that person not going to steal my money? I was even suspicious about my father. If I would see my father walking around, I would suspect that he had stolen from me. Since that woman wasn't reply, I thought that maybe if I could send her a pic of the money, she would reply. I did exactly that, and she replied by saying, I am outside your gate. That was rather too quick, but I was again too excited to question such. I took about 30,000 rands from the money and I gave it to her. Money is indeed happiness. She kissed me and started being sweet and all. I was concentrated on her beauty. Then we said our goodbyes and I went to bed. In the morning, I gave my mother some more money. I told her that I had been working overtime and this money that I had given her, it was from overtime. And also I had gotten promotion because of my hard work. So our money problems are over, mom. That is the way that I told her. I then asked dad to go to town and to ask if there is anyone that can draw him a plan of his dream house and we will discuss it after work. My father just looked at me and he was so confused. Then he went back into watching his morning live. I left off for work. I arrived at work and I realized that no one noticed that tanks were being cut off, and I knew that I needed more tanks because I had promised my parents a house and I also needed a car. Since I had already set the bar high for my new girlfriend, I needed a good car. Yes, it wasn't going to be a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. I mean, with all the potholes that are in our location, that place wasn't fit for driving a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. At least if I was going to get a good SUV, I would be happy. From there on, it started being an everyday job, and my relationship with that girl was getting stronger and stronger. I was hardly at home. I was always with my girlfriend, living our best lives. I started drinking a lot and getting to work tired and sleepy. My parents' house project had taken off. I also bought a car, so life was exactly what I have always prayed for. Cutting tongues was now my things and I enjoyed it more than my actual work. I was losing focus even on my actual work. My girlfriend was the highlight of my life. I managed to finish my parents' house, but I then got fired from work because of my late arrivals. I no longer had access to my side hustle and my girlfriend was acting some kind of a way. I then decided to break into the mortuary when my money got dry. So I laid out a plan. I knew exactly how I was going to break into that mortuary. I knew that place like the back of my own hand. I got into the mortuary, then the alarm went off. Before I could properly react, the security guards were already on top of me. But what surprised me is that in my pockets, I had a lot of tongues because I had already done what that voice had told me to do, and those tongues were in my pocket. I could feel them, but when those security guards tried to search me, they could not find anything. I was arrested. I went to jail and I did my time. But whilst I was still in jail, I had a dream. I dreamt of that very beautiful girl that I was dating whilst I was on the outside. But in my dream, she was walking with that tall man. It was like they were lovers. I tried to call out her name, but they just chose to ignore me. They just laughed as they walked into the horizon. My brother, I finally got released and I came back home. I tried to look for the money that I had kept because there was somewhere that I was hiding this money. When I opened that place where I was hiding the money, there was nothing. Even if someone had used it, like my parents, if they had seen that money, they were supposed to buy something big with that money, but that money just vanished into thin air. So many nights I have tried to pray to that tall man because I feel that I need him more than I have ever needed him. I am just stuck. My life is going around in circles, and I keep on dreaming of all the people that I cut off their tongues from their dead bodies. But no matter how much I try to pray and to plead with that tall man that I once dreamt about, he doesn't answer my prayers anymore. That is my story. Dear listeners, that was a long confession that we received from Anonymous. Let me take a glass of water. I'll be back with another episode.